Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, February 2024. Legal notice number 221 of 2023 relating to the revision of Laws Order 2023 and the explanatory memorandum from the Office of the Attorney General. Number 2, response by the Auditor General on discrepancy in application of audited and approval revenue for financial year 2019-2020. 3, the quarterly economic and budgetary review reports for the financial year 2023-2024 from the National Treasury. 4, first quarter national government and county government budget implementation review reports for the year 2023-2024 from the Office of the Controller of Budget. Number 5, annual report and financial statement of Kenya Electricity Generating Company PLC for the period ended 30th June 2023 from the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum. Number 6, the annual corporate report for 2022-2023 for the Office of the Auditor General. 7, special audit report of the Auditor General on infrastructure projects and programs at the Ministry of Youth Affairs, Sports and the Arts for the 10 years 2013 to 2023. Mr. Speaker, I lay.
Thank you. Next. Is the chairman budget here? Or a member of the budget committee? Or a member of the mediation committee? Yes, Mwashako? Are you a member of the mediation committee? On budget committee? Yes, there is a report to be laid by your committee. Okay, when your chairman comes, we will allow him to do so at whatever stage. Okay. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library. Puyo, you are the chair. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion. That this House adopts the report of the Select Committee on Parliamentary Broadcasting and Library on enhancing reporting of parliamentary business on online platforms laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, on Tuesday, 20th, on Wednesday, 4th October 2023. Chairman, I don't know whether Speaker, I don't know whether I'm reading the right notice. I hope that is the one. That is what I have.
Next. Member for Dagoretti South. KJ. Matter deferred. Member for Mandera South. Abdul Haro.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to give notice of the following motion. that aware that the Constitution recognizes the people's respect for the environment as the country's heritage and the commitment to sustaining the environment for future generations. Further, further aware that the cyclic drought in the country has caused devastating effects and serious disruption to the economy, recognizing that climate change is a global problem with developing countries being the most affected, as these regions are dependent on climate-sensitive sectors such as agriculture and forestry. Further, recognizing that the severe effects of climate change are already being experienced in the form of frequent droughts, flooding, and other extreme weather occurrences. Concerned that the current climate change monitoring mechanisms in the country are based on the traditional methods which rely on ground observations and climate models which have limitations in terms of accuracy, timeliness, and spatial coverage. Noting that the country recently launched its first operational satellite to collect and transmit high-quality data, further noting that this technology can help in accurately monitoring and forecasting climatic and weather patterns. Cognizant of the fact that other jurisdictions have made use of this technology to monitor climate change with marked positive impacts, appreciating that the use of technology, especially satellite technology, would allow enhanced monitoring that can have significant impact on sustainable environmental management. Further appreciating that this technology would be useful in monitoring difficult to reach, expansive, and unsafe areas. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the Ministry of Environment, Climate Change, and Forestry develops a policy on IT that deploys the use of satellites in the monitoring and forecasting of climatic conditions with the objective of ensuring timely and accurate data collection to enhance the country's capacity to respond to weather-related risks and vulnerabilities, including climate change. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Harrow. I'll go back to member for Dagoret South, Honorable John Kiarie.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for accommodating me. I'm shuttling between this House and a parliamentary committee, which I'm sharing on the BPS matters. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to beg to give notice of a motion, and this motion is the establishment of a science museum. Mr. Speaker, that aware that Article 11(2)(b) of the Constitution provides that the government shall recognize the role of science and indigenous technologies in the development of the nation, and further aware that the Vision 2030 provides for the integration of information, communication, and technology in the country's transformative agenda, and concerned that there exists no science museum for consolidating indigenous scientific and technological innovations, training, and research purposes in the East African region, appreciating that the integration of science and technology would greatly enhance Kenya's economic and societal success, noting that there is potential for growth in the technology sector by establishing a science museum, and further noting that the informal science education plays a key role in the progression of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, which is commonly known as STEM, acknowledging that the science museums operate as the nexus between science practitioners, policymakers, and the public, cognizant of the fact that a science museum in the country would greatly impact on the economy of the country in the quest to become an industrialized nation. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the national government, through the relevant ministries, establishes and operationalizes a science museum in the country. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, KJ. Next, Chairperson, Mediation Committee, Dindi Nyoro. He's not here yet. Mashako. I thought Honorable Mashako. Okay. Fine. Next, Chairperson, Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture. Honorable Wangwe.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that this House adopts the report of the Public Investments Committee on Social Services, Administration and Agriculture on its consideration of the report of the Auditor General on 23 non-compliant state corporations laid on the table of the House on Wednesday, 23rd August 2023. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. We'll come back to that order when Ndindi comes in. Go to order number 7.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
Honorable Mwashako, as we wait for that, look for your chairman. When I go to NADCO, I'll not give him an opportunity. Order number 7, statement by a member for Kigumo, Honorable Munyoro.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order number 44, subsection 2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on the plight of Boda operators across the country. Honorable Speaker, the Boda sector has emerged as one of the key sectors driving the uptake of the buy now, pay later, BNPL models for purchase of various merchandise, including motorcycles. The model, according to industry players, has gained popularity, especially among young and low-income consumers who may not have access to traditional credit facilities. And recent reports indicate that bodas and small vendors account for the largest share of the BNPL model. However, what is marketed as an accessible path to owning a motorbike and achieving financial independence has become a nightmare for hundreds of jobless youth in the country. BNPL providers lure borrowers with deceitful promises of low down payments and easy installments, yet hidden fees, exorbitant interest rates, and aggressive debt collection tactics soon reveal the true cost of the commodity. Honorable Speaker, according to Boda operators, the business is highly competitive and the daily proceeds cannot service weekly installments. As a result, hundreds of young people are counting losses following indiscriminate impounding of motorcycles, including those belonging to diligent owners with less than 10% outstanding loans. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on the following. 1, could the chairperson explain the measures and mechanisms the government has put in place to regulate the activities of buy now, pay later, BNPL providers in the country, including addressing rogue lending institutions responsible for violations of consumer rights? And 2, could the chairperson explain plans the government has put in place to develop alternative financing models that are fair, transparent, and genuinely empower Boda operators? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Munyoro. Is the Chair of Finance here? Vice Chair, Benja?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. We shall take the request to the committee and process it and table the statement as soon as possible.
You can bring a response in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, 2 weeks, yeah.
Next, a member for Kirinyaga County, Jen Jerry. Yes, is that DK? Why are you raising your hand?
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to take this opportunity. The reason why I'm raising my hand is that because we are on statements, and there is a statement I had requested from the chair for security in terms of the events that happened in Matunda, where one lady was killed by robbers. Up to today, we have not gotten any substantial statement on the matter.
You are directed to the Committee on Security.
On security, yes.
The Committee of Tongoyo. Is Tongoyo in the House? Razo? When do you bring the response to Kimutai's request? Give Honorable Razo the mic.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I think as you said at the beginning of this session, that matter has been overtaken by
It had lapsed.
It elapsed.
Yes.
But already the matter is before the Ministry of Interior, and we can still pursue because it's a security matter. So security matters should not be allowed to just go down the drain. We will request for about 2 weeks to be able to respond to the honorable member. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Raso, I'll not give you 2 weeks. This is a matter that was brought last time, and you should be asking for a day or 2 instead of 2 weeks.
Mr. Speaker, I am well guided.
Can you bring a response on Tuesday?
On Tuesday.
Tuesday afternoon?
Guided, Honorable Speaker.
Excellent. Is a member for Kirinyaga? Yes, Honorable Jared Okello.
Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much. Last week, Honorable Speaker, you did give a very detailed report on how to handle issues that lapsed with the session,
Yes.
Pertaining to questions and statements. But Honorable Speaker, I want to bring to your attention that towards the end of last session, there were 2 petitions that were properly debated before this House. And it did generate, both of them did generate a lot of interest from members. And this pertains to hardship allowance by Nyatike constituency and another one that I cannot remember. But we realize that this is a matter that does cut across most of the constituencies, Honorable Speaker. Whereas you may not have delved into petitions as regards lapsing of such issues, Honorable Speaker, the importance of this matter, Honorable Speaker, if you were to invoke the inherent powers of the Speaker, I would kindly request you to allow the petition committee to proceed with this matter, Honorable Speaker, so that we can come to a conclusion that will be beneficial to most members in this House, Honorable Speaker. Otherwise, reinventing the wheel may turn out to be quite untidy and may not sit well with members in this House, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Jared, if you listen to my communication properly, I never mentioned petitions. Petitions don't lapse with the end of the term. They remain alive until they are disposed of. The only issue I can mention, Honorable Nimrod Mbai. Honorable Nimrod Mbai, there is a bit of concern that there are too many petitions pending before your committee. Many of them. Some have exceeded, in fact, many have exceeded the time that is set out in the standing orders. I would want to have a meeting with you and your committee so that I can assist you to discharge your duties a little more robustly. So check with the clerk, he'll give you an appointment to come with your committee and see me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Because petitions are time bound.
Yes, sir.
And when you have 30, 39 petitions that are all way out of time, it is not very good. Yes, Owen?
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Just on the same note, Honorable Speaker, you see this petitions committee came into life in this parliament, 13th parliament. But in the previous parliament, we've had petitions being dealt with at the committee, departmental committee levels, which was more effective. As we review our standing orders, Honorable Speaker, I would urge that we revert back where we have more expert opinion at the departmental level and where actually we'll be able to fast track these petitions. Otherwise, Kenyans that have sent petitions to this House are suffering. Members of Parliament who have also sent petitions to this House are suffering. I don't think Honorable Mbai and his committee are incompetent, that the work is too much for them. And the subjects are too diverse, and they may not be able to take care of them at the right time. So I urge this House that we need to look at our standing orders so that petitions go back to the committees so that we can fast-track work. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Kamket. Give Kamket the mic. There you are.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, I want to add to what you mentioned. And indeed, Mr. Speaker, I am one of those people whose constituents have brought a petition here through our women rep. And that petition it's now almost 1 year down the line. So I think in line with what the Honorable Baya is saying, Mr. Speaker, I think it is time we need to review our standing orders, because I think giving all petitions to the Public Petitions Committee, I don't think they are able to handle. I think it's time to revert back to the committees. And because indeed, if ours is more than a year now, how many others are pending? So I think it is timely that we need to review and release this gentleman and the committee so that the issues affecting Kenyans can be addressed by the relevant committees. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I don't want to open debate on this. Honorable members, we cannot change our standing orders to address issues of efficiency. I don't think that is the right way to go. I have asked the Honorable Mbai, and I'll direct the majority leader that the clerk will give you an opportunity to come with the petitions committee to see me so that we can address any difficulties they have in processing petitions. The reason this committee was set up was to offload the bulk of work from committees to give them time to do their work. Because committees, I'm told, were spending inordinately large amounts of time on petitions against their core business. What we need to do is to inject more energy and vigor in the petitions committee headed by the Honorable Nimrod, and we will assist them to do so. We cannot change the law because we are not moving fast enough. Yes, Junet.
Honorable Speaker, we stand as you directed. But Mr. Speaker, the matter is more holistic. Mr. Speaker, if you look at statements or even statements, there are many statements that have not been replied to. Mr. Speaker, if you take a case like what Honorable DK has just raised, somebody has lost his life or her life, and a year down the line, there is no response to that death. Mr. Speaker, it looks like the people who are responsible to give the explanations, that's the executive, are not taking this matter very serious, Mr. Speaker. That this response, this is the only place they can be held accountable, Mr. Speaker. And our mandate as Parliament is very clear. Legislation, oversight, and representation, Mr. Speaker. There is no any other organ that can oversight the executive, Mr. Speaker. So when we are asking for these questions, it is not a favor they are doing. It is a constitutional mandate that they're supposed to execute, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, we need to enforce it properly. I know my colleagues are from retreat, but don't feel like you are government. You are members of Parliament. We have to oversight the executive. you can just take mandasi there and thank them for meeting them. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Ndindi Nyoro, we'll go back to order number 6. Did I see Ndindi? Yeah, you go back to order number 6. In fact, order number 5. Lay the report on the table and go to order number 6 and give your notice of motion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I wish to lay the following papers before the House: the report of the Mediation Committee on the County Government Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023.
Now go ahead with the notice of motion.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give the notice of the following motion: that pursuant to the provisions of Article 1132 of the Constitution and Standing Order 153, that this House adopts the report of the Mediation Committee on the County Government's Additional Allocation Bill, National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 20th February 2024, and approves the mediated version of the County Government's Additional Allocations Bill, that is National Assembly Bill number 23 of 2023. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ndindi. Yes, what's your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, the chair budget is purporting to have laid a paper, and I'm only seeing him with one sheet of paper. So where is the paper that he laid? he laid it on his desk.
Chairman, have you laid the paper on the table? Yeah?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
As you are aware, the papers are already laid.
We go back to order number 7. I saw Kasheri walk in. Member for Kirinyaga. Jerry, you are late. I've called you twice.
My apologies, Honorable Speaker. I had paid a courtesy call to the office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary, and my senior here is trying to distract me. Honorable Speaker, I rise, I rise to request...
Changa, you shall not distract Jerry. Go ahead.
Honorable Speaker, I rise to request for a statement regarding the death of the 23 persons after consuming illicit brew in Kirinyaga County. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 44-2C, I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security regarding the death of 23 persons after consuming illicit brew in Kangai Village, Kirinyaga County. Honorable Speaker, over the years, the country has witnessed various incidences where people lose their lives after consuming illicit and adulterated alcoholic drinks. The most recent occurrence happened in Kangai Village in Kirinyaga County on 6th of February 2024, where 23 persons died while several others lost their sight after consuming illicit alcohol suspected to have expired and with a high concentration of ethanol. It is feared that the death toll may rise since conditions of victims who are receiving treatment has been deteriorating. Honorable Speaker, there has been an escalation of trade in illicit and adulterated liquor, proliferation of counterfeit alcoholic brands, mushrooming of liquor outlets operating without proper licensing, increase in underage drinking, and the rise in deaths attributable to illicit liquor in the country. The situation calls for strict implementation of the regulatory framework on alcoholic promotions licensing, and treatment and rehabilitation of addicts as provided for under the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act 2010 in order to mitigate the adverse effects of illicit brews. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the following. Could the chairperson provide a report regarding the status of investigations into deaths of the victims of the illicit brew in Kangai Village, Kirinyaga County in February 2024? Could the chairperson provide information on whether the owners of the outlets from where the brew was obtained have been apprehended and prosecuted? And could the chairperson explain the measures the government has put in place to ensure strict compliance with Alcoholic Drinks Control Act 2010 and effective implementation of alcohol control policies in regions mostly affected by consumption of illicit brews? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Njeri. Tongoyo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. On the issue of the statement, I will ask for 2 weeks to get a response from the ministry. But, Mr. Speaker, I want just to say one thing.
I will not give you 2 weeks.
Sorry?
I will not give you 2 weeks. I'll give you 1 week. 23 lives lost.
Well guided, Mr. Speaker.
You should be having facts with you within the shortest time possible.
Well guided, Speaker. But I want just to say one thing, Mr. Speaker. Actually, the issue of these menace of alcohol and killing Kenyans is becoming an issue that should concern all of us, Mr. Speaker. The issue, as much as we want to say, is the issue of the ministry and the police. We all know the issue of the licensing of illicit of these brews is a function of the county, and is an issue that we must actually start conversation, Mr. Speaker. No, just let me finish. What I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, we have a big problem that we must, as a House, start looking our laws, because the Constitution, the 2010 Constitution, referred the function of licensing to the counties. And that is what probably is giving our officers even a hard time to enforce such kind of So it's an issue that a conversation that we should start as this House, Mr. Speaker. But 1 week obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I listened to the chair carefully, Mr. Speaker, and he's saying that the licensing of bars is a function of county government. But, Mr. Speaker, county governments license bars. They don't license illicit brews. They don't license Changa. They don't license. This is an issue of enforcement of the law, Mr. Speaker, and it squarely lies with the Ministry of Interior and Provincial Administration, Mr. Speaker. And as you directed, let the chairman produce an answer in 1 week, Mr. Speaker. Let us not scapegoat that this county, it is an issue of enforcement of the law, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Rendikiri. Order, honorable members, the conversations are too loud.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I think the chairman of security is out of order, because this is death we are talking about. And the brew they took came from the police station, which is within his mandate. And that's what the Honorable Women Rep of Kirinyaga is talking about. So you cannot now run away from his responsibility. Let him go get down to the business and give us the correct content. You should not divert our attention.
Thank you. Majority Leader, I'll give you.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I am constrained but to agree with the member for Buri and the Honorable Junet that indeed there is absolutely nothing wrong with counties licensing bars. This particular incident in Kirinyaga, Honorable Speaker, and maybe the chair is not aware, already officers, police officers, have been arrested and charged in court because they stole exhibits that were being stored in a police station and sold them to the person now who sold this alcohol to people in a bar. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, the problem is not just a problem that we can point at the county governments in terms of licensing of bars. it begins with law enforcement by the police. And Honorable Speaker, the chair, as a person oversighting the police, must be emphatic in ensuring that his committee summons the Inspector General of Police to say what they are going to do to ensure that the police indeed do their work in enforcing the law as it is. Secondly, and more importantly, Honorable Speaker, I am hoping that the chair, other than pointing fingers, will take this opportunity through the committee in charge of Interior to now draft a national government level legislation touching on the licensing of manufacturers of alcohol, because that will not be left to the county government. It is up to us, and that is what I would have wanted to hear the chair speak to, that his committee now will draft legislation that will regulate. How do you even regulate the movement of ethanol and methanol in this country? Because, Honorable Speaker, this, what we are calling illicit brews, are not illicit brews. It is simply ethanol and methanol being mixed with water and being sold to people as alcohol. And that is what our committee in charge of Interior should be working on, legislation that will ensure that we regulate who sells ethanol, how is it sold. Because, Honorable Speaker, the sale of ethanol is one of the most lucrative illicit trade. The road between Namanga and Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, the entire corridor is a scene of crime. And the chair should know, from the Namanga border to Nairobi is an entire scene of crime. Every other truck, I hear even Isabania in Migori, every truck that you find on that road is carrying ethanol in drums. This ethanol is disguised with onions and tomatoes. And the police know, Honorable Speaker, if you want to be the OCPD Kajiado today, you have to know people in Vigilance House here to be deployed in Kajiado, because it is the most lucrative place to be in because of this illicit trade. Therefore, the chair should not be taking us in the scapegoating of this county government and that county government. We must deal with the problem where it is. The problem is with the police, enforcement of law, and also this House has an obligation through the committee to make sure that we have legislation that regulates the sale of ethanol and methanol. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Oundo.
Thank you, Speaker. Let me also take this opportunity to sympathize with the lost souls because of consuming illicit brew. Honorable Speaker, there is danger of branding some local brews to become illicit brew simply because people have lost lives in other places. Honorable Speaker, yes, the licensing of bars is the mandate of the county government, but beyond that, the enforcement, the production and the rest square lies with the Ministry of Health and the relevant ministry in the national security organs. Honorable Speaker, in where I come from, we have a very local gin, very pure local gin, Honorable Speaker, manufactured in very hygienic conditions, and we have never had any challenges.
Honorable Undo, what you are calling gin is in fact an outlawed drink called Changa.
No, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
It's not called Changa.
Yes.
We call it Enguri, Honorable Speaker. And it's a very clear and clean gin.
Go and read the definition of Changa in the Changa Prohibition Act.
And Honorable Speaker, if you go to my constituency, we have no shortage of kids. We have no shortage of pregnant women. So honestly, Speaker, we do not want the mess that has happened in central Kenya to be applied blanket application the entire country to eliminate our national pastime in our community. Honorable Speaker, let regions deal with their problems as they arise and not have a national condemnation of local brews. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Undo, for avoidance of doubt. Under the Changa Prohibition Act, Changa is described as Enguli, Machwara, Machozi ya Simba, Kill Me Quick, or any other spirituous liquor, howsoever described. So it is not a local brew that is defendable. Yes, Mukunji will be the last on this. Yes, there's a point of order, Mukunji. Let me hear Raso first. Raso, is it a point of order or you want to make a contribution? Pardon? Mukunji, go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to thank Honorable Jerry Kirinyaga County for this important statement. And I want to say, Honorable Speaker, if this National Assembly cannot act when 23 lives have been lost, Honorable Speaker, I don't think there is any other important time to act on this issue. Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with the majority leader that police officers are part and parcel of the thriving ethanol trade. And Honorable Speaker, it has gotten to a point where we really have to call it to order, Honorable Speaker. I want to see, Honorable Speaker, a stoppage of importation of ethanol until, Honorable Speaker, we know who are doing this work and are they even paying taxes. And Honorable Speaker, we have made billionaires out of ethanol trade. And these people have become too powerful that they are able to buy the police force from top to bottom. And that is why, Honorable Speaker, we have lost lives in Kirinyaga. We might continue losing lives. And Honorable Speaker, our young people, our generation that is behind us is in serious danger if this assembly does not act. We have to put laws and ensure we don't allow populations to thrive in drunkenness. And Honorable Speaker, when you meet a drunk person, that person is actually sick and is not actually a bad person. But Honorable Speaker, we are treating the symptoms instead of treating the disease. The people who are selling poison in this country are the people that are well known, and we have to go for them without fear or anything. Because, Honorable Speaker, if we don't do that, the population behind us is going to judge us in a very, very serious way. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We'll end there on this. Oraso, I had promised to give you 1 minute. I'll give you 1 minute, Dawood 1 minute, and Mudhoni 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I support the statement that is being sought by Honorable Njeri. Those are fundamental issues. I believe even the chairman is not contradicting that a response must be robust on this particular issue. But what the chairman is saying, the issue at stake is the law. There are those who are enforcing, but the law is mandating the counties to actually collect money. The counties are interested in collecting money, but they are not at any point.
Honorable Raso, the point that the majority leader, Junet, and others have raised is very simple. Counties license bars. They don't license places for homicides. When homicides are committed, it becomes a matter of the police. And that's why, Honorable Tongoyo, you must call your troops to order. No excuses. There is no county government in this country that licenses anybody to kill another. Yes, Dawood.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you remember, we did a cleanup in Mount Kenya for alcohol in 2015. Mr. Speaker, the problem is not just licensing. Mr. Speaker, the factories which produce those third-generation liquor need to be closed immediately, because that is where the problem is. Mr. Speaker, we closed the wine shops in Meru. They went to the court and got an order to open again. Mr. Speaker, we need to approach this thing in a three-pronged manner where courts do not interfere with whatever is being done, and stopping the factories operating. Mr. Speaker, thank you.
Your neighbor. Mudhoni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to laud the woman rep Kirinyaga, Honorable Njeri, for bringing this very fundamental issue. Honorable Speaker, we are here discussing about loss of life. And Honorable Speaker, this is a matter that this House should take seriously because, as you have alluded to, licensing and homicide are two different things. We want to call upon the Ministry of Interior to give us a straightforward way of how they are intending to deal with this menace, Honorable Speaker. Thank you, Speaker.
Thank you. We'll close there. Honorable Tongoyo.
So, Speaker, I just want to first appreciate and really able to also say that it is really very unfortunate, the life lost. It's a very sad story that such a time we still lost such a number of lives of young, productive Kenyans through taking over toxin products. Mr. Speaker, I agree with all these members that there is a need to look into the whole structure, even of our police enforcement. But in this particular case, Mr. Speaker, I'd taken your guidance. We are going to communicate to get a response in record short time.
On Tuesday.
On Tuesday. But what Mr. Speaker was saying, and I think the leader majority actually got it very proper. We have the pieces of legislation and laws that we can able to look from our end to include licensing of course, of production, export and import, but at the same time, we should extend the same to tighten our laws and actually our policies even in the licensing from the counties, and even a possibility of reverting some of the function to NACADA for proper management of licensing of these liquors, Mr. Speaker. That is exactly what I was saying, but once again, I want to apologize, to say sorry and pass my condolences to the life lost. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Next order. Yeah. Oh, yes. Before we call the next order, honorable members, allow me to introduce the following schools in the public and speakers gallery. Iku Girls Secondary School from Chuka, Igambangombe, Tharaka-Nithi, and Matungulu Girls Secondary School from Matungulu, Machakos. On my behalf and on behalf of the whole House, we welcome the students and their teachers to the House of Parliament. Honorable Mule has asked me to allow him to acknowledge the school from his constituency. Do it on behalf of the whole House for the two schools in 1 minute.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I want to welcome Matungulu girls who topped up the Form 4 class of last year in the entire Machakos County. Congratulations, girls. We are so proud of you from Machakos, and we are going to continue to promote education in the constituency. Mr. Speaker, I want to say the future of this nation lies in this House, whereby all members of Parliament support the young boys and girls in their constituency through CDF. And I want to urge the leadership to ask Professor Ndungu of Treasury to release the entire money for CDF to make sure that we keep these girls in schools. Things are very tough. We wish you all the best, and we are so proud of you, Matungulu girls, for topping up in Machakos County, and you are blessed to be in the House. Welcome. And Iku girls, we also welcome you in the House, and we are so proud of you. And Mr. Speaker, there is a joke going around that the girl child is being favored. We want to urge members also look at the boy child. God bless you. God bless Kenya.
Thank you. Honorable Ndindi Nyoro.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move the following motion, that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 232.7 relating to presentation of the budget policy statement, that this House resolves to extend the period for the consideration of the budget policy statement 2024 by a period of 14 days.
Order, Honorable Ndindi Nyoro. that what you are trying to do will be on the order paper for tomorrow. I gave you an opportunity to give a progress report on the time-bound PBS hearings that are going on.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for that guidance. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank you for this chance because it is very important that I bring to the attention of this House that one of our critical roles in this House is budget making. And Honorable Speaker, it is usually a lengthy process. Possibly most of us even before actually thought that this is a process that starts in June. But Honorable Speaker, just to bring it in a very short, in very few minutes to members, the process starts actually the previous calendar year. For example, in this financial year, the process of budget making started last year in November when we had a public participation and formation of the sector working groups. Honorable Speaker, after the sector working groups, then we are now in the process of setting the ceilings for all the departments and especially the sectors that constitutes our economy, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, just to bring up to the members, to bring members to speed, currently as we talk, as we meet here today, we have already started the process of departmental committees meeting their various accounting officers, Honorable Speaker. And that is the reason why even the PSs who are previously engaged in other engagements, and especially the PG in Naivasha, have been recalled to Nairobi, Honorable Speaker, so that they continue meeting the departmental committees. Honorable Speaker, the process of consideration of BPS is time-bound and the time is statutory. And Honorable Speaker, there cannot be a lot of negotiations around that time. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, mine is just to thank all the departmental chairs and to request them that we kindly stick to the dates that have been provided, that we meet our principal secretaries today, those who are meeting them today, others are meeting them tomorrow. But Honorable Speaker, I want to make a humble request that we conclude the hearings from the principal secretaries by this Saturday, so that, Honorable Speaker, we are able to be in time and we are able to process the budget policy statement within the statutory timeline. Honorable Speaker, I thank you. I thank all the members who belong to other departmental committees, and I request them kindly that we stick to the timelines of today, tomorrow, and up to Friday that have been provided for meeting the principal secretaries, so that we keep ourselves within the statutory time. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Ndindi. We can go to order number 8. Yes, Honorable Nyikal.
Mr. Speaker, thank you, Mr. Speaker. As we go to order number 8, Mr. Speaker, I rise to seek your guidance on the issue of tabling and contents of
the issue of?
Mr. Speaker, as we go to order number 8, I rise to seek your guidance on the issue of tabling and contents of committee reports in regard to bills. Mr. Speaker, although what I'm saying arises from my observation on the bill we're discussing now, I think it's an issue that we should address as a House. To begin with, Mr. Speaker, we tend to get reports very late, and so that often members actually do not get time to benefit from what the committees have worked on and even the stakeholder issues they have raised. And two, Mr. Speaker, most of the reports that I've seen that relate to bills normally they are done in a very clear fashion. You have the stakeholder meetings, they are reported as verbatim as there, but then you will have a schedule of observations, a schedule of recommendations, and in the case of a bill, Mr. Speaker, a schedule of amendments. It therefore makes it very easy for members not to go through all the details of the stakeholder discussions, but to focus on this and make quick decisions. That was missing in this particular report, and Mr. Speaker, you have to go through all the reports of the discussions, and then you get observations on a particular group and the committee observations, and in the end, we did not get good clearance. Mr. Speaker, why I raised those two issues of the time of tabling and the content, Mr. Speaker, when you have very important bills such as this one, it is the committee work that guides what the members' discussion. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, we may have to even go into our rules and procedure rules in the House and actually go back and say we cannot have bills discussed before the committee gives a report and give a time, for example, 2 days before the discussion starts. And maybe in exceptional cases, with the leave of the Speaker, we can do that. Mr. Speaker, I thought I would raise this because I'm finding that the use of the committee reports is actually being eroded. And therefore, I think that is a very, very important bit of legislation at the committee stage, Mr. Speaker. I thought I would raise this. I've noted it in this, but I've noted it before. But this is a particularly important bill that should have gotten all the attention that we required and all the guidance from the committee. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Nyikal, I think you are suffering from being absent in the House. The matter you are raising was very ably raised by your chief whip when this bill was being called for second reading. And his complaint was that the report had been just laid and members needed time to read through. By now, I'm sure members have read the report. What is even more important is that the report and the content is more useful at the committee of the whole. That's when you can make changes to the bill arising out of the committee recommendations. That's when you can file your amendments if you wish. But I get your point, and the clerk will address some of the issues you have raised. Let's call order number 8. Yes, Honorable Junet. On the same issue?
Mr. Speaker, on budget policy statement.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, the budget policy statement issue has been explained here by the chairman. I want the majority leader to give me an ear, Mr. Speaker, through you. Mr. Speaker, the budget policy statement is one of the most important documents in the budget making process in this House, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, it was supposed to be laid here by 15th of February, Mr. Speaker, and we are already late by 5 days. Today is 20th, Mr. Speaker. It was late, but we have lost time. Mr. Speaker, I'm of the view that going forward, it is either we change our standing orders so that it can be committed to relevant committees when we are away, or we change the Public Finance Management Act so that the timelines can be increased from 14 days to 21 days, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is the document that informs how our budget will look like in the next financial year, Mr. Speaker. And I know members are asking, are we implementing it? But this is the framework. This is the document that every member must take very, very serious, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to urge through the majority leader that bring an amendment to the Finance Act so that we can increase the timeline. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Junet, again, what you are complaining about has actually been cured. The standing order says it has to be laid by 15th. It was laid on the 15th. And it has to take 14 days. Ndindi Nyoro has asked that we extend by 7 days to 21 days. So your worries are taken care of. Next order.
Order number 8, the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, second reading.
Honorable Mbandi, you are on the floor, but there's a point of order by Chepkonga. Hold your horses. Order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Just hold it.
I raise pursuant to Standing Order number 95 as read together with Standing Order number 83. But, Mr. Speaker, before I raise that point of order, I thought my very good friend, the Honorable Musa Sirma, who is the chair of CDF, had very important information to communicate to this House, particularly when the Honorable Stephen Mule was welcoming his students. We thought that the students will go back home knowing that CDF has been released.
Can you raise your point of order in relation to order number 8?
No, I was just trying to eliminate.
And Honorable Sirma, you don't have to stand up simply because your name was mentioned. Go ahead.
You want
no, Chepkonga.
Yes, go ahead.
Raise your point of order.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Musa Sirma, take your seat.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. He needs to take a cue to raise a point of order himself. Mr. Speaker, this matter has been ably canvassed in this House. And, Mr. Speaker, without anticipating debate in the next standing order, in the next debate, Mr. Speaker, which is extremely very important, it has exercised the minds of Kenyans.
What is your point of order?
Mr. Speaker, my point of order, would I be in order in accordance with Standing Order number 95, as read together with 83, that the Speaker be called upon to reply, not the mover be called upon to reply, because this matter has already been spent, Mr. Speaker. In fact, when issues were discussed the last time, what I wanted to discuss, Mr. Speaker, was also being discussed by another member. So I thought I became redundant. So I thought it is important that the mover be called upon to reply so that we can move to the most important debate, which is disturbing Kenyans, and we need to sort out this before Baba is appointed as the chairman of AU. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Before I exercise that discretion, I'll allow Honorable Mbandi, who is a ranking member of this House, to exhaust his time.
Mr.
You have
Speaker,
a point of order, Honorable Otienda Molo? Order, Musa
Mr.
Sirma.
Speaker, the Honorable Chepkonga is a ranking member and is my friend, and in recent times we've been co-chairing a very important subcommittee on CDF. But Mr. Speaker, when he stands on Standing Order 95 to persuade you to exercise your discretion, knowing that on the day the debate on this matter started, I and him were busy representing this House in another important matter, and I, among others, have not had the opportunity to say a bit. He is not only misleading, he is being unfair to the rest of us. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to urge you not to accept that invite. This is a very important matter, Mr. Speaker, as you know, that has invited interpretation by the court. As a House, we got it wrong the first time. It is important to get it right the second time without rushing. I submit, Mr. Speaker, and I was the first in this House this afternoon waiting to speak to this matter. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Mbadi.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think I had 3 minutes left to make my contribution. And Mr. Speaker, there is something that worries me with this bill. Looking at clause number 4, and a few members have spoken to it. In an effort for the government or the executive to beat, or rather to correct, what was said in court, they are creating a bigger problem to the people of Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, if you look at clause 4, where the levy is being levied or imposed, then it says that there is imposed a levy known as the Affordable Housing Levy, and that the levy shall be at the rate of 1.5% of the gross salary of an employee, or the gross income of a person received or accrued, which is not subject to the levy under paragraph A. Mr. Speaker, we are exposing Kenyans now, including even Mama Mboga in the streets, who are promised that this levy will only affect those who are salaried and who have a payslip, to unnecessary harassment by Kenya Revenue Authority. Mr. Speaker, to impose this levy on people who don't have salary is going to be a nightmare. And what we are doing, in short, is to allow the Kenya Revenue Authority officers to now be snooping and harassing Kenyans, including even farmers, Mr. Speaker. Because what this particular provision means, in short, is that if you go to your farm, get your maize, and you sell it, you are supposed to be taxed, or a levy is supposed to be imposed on the produce that you get from your shamba. Gross of it, not even removing the cost of producing maize. This is punitive, and this is one of the worst legislations that can ever be passed in a house like this. Mr. Speaker, unless there is going to be an amendment to remove this or to make it implementable, Mr. Speaker, this particular provision should not be allowed to stand. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to go any further. I can see the leader of majorities gesturing, I don't know for what. But Mr. Speaker, I've just mentioned that...
Order, honorable members, order. Order, double N. Order. Is that Ngeleche or double N? The exuberance and loud conversations are disrupting even the speaker to hear what the member on the floor is saying.
Mr. Speaker, what I was saying was very important, so I may need to repeat it. Mr. Speaker, the provision under Clause 4 is very, very, very dangerous. And I would urge that this matter is looked into, because now, Mr. Speaker, those farmers in the village who, after producing their crops, sell their produce, will be required to surrender 1.5% of the gross produce to this housing levy. Mr. Speaker, this is punitive. This is going to lead to unnecessary harassment of ordinary Kenyans by Kenya Revenue Authority. And I can see Leader of Majority is laughing. He actually said when he was moving this motion that they are very happy because government is going to receive more money. But why should you be happy when the same hustlers are suffering, Mr. Speaker, just because you are getting more money to do things that are not so clear, like housing, providing houses to people who we don't even know. Mr. Speaker, this is something that needs to really be looked into and removed from this law, even though the judiciary mentioned about discrimination. There should be a better way, a more
Honorable members, I have been moved to call the mover to reply, but I'll give Honorable Otienda Amolo and one other member this side, then I call the mover to reply. Otienda Amolo? Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes.
Mr. Speaker, this issue has various facets, but the first, which is of note, is the aspect that it increases the tax burden on Kenyans by a good 3%. And while most people are already familiar with the 3%, what they are not familiar with is the penalty that is also prescribed, that if you do not remit that 3% within 30 days, there's an additional penalty of another 3%. So that in any 1 month, you are in danger of having to pay 6%, which can actually be recovered by court action. Secondly, and this bears repetition, it must be borne in mind that as national government is endeavoring to do all this, Schedule 4, Clause 18, and Schedule Part 1 and Part 2 makes it very clear that no matter how well-intentioned the government may be, housing still remains a county function, function. And the only thing given to national government is the policy. This bill is not prescribing policy, it's prescribing the way of doing it. That will remain unconstitutional no matter how you couch it. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, in terms of counties, this bill is very strange It comes under the hand of the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and it purports in the purposes that it has nothing to do with counties. And yet, first of all, in the very face of the bill, Mr. Speaker, if you look at the bill, clause 10(2)(c), clause 12(3)(b)(1), both of them actually expressly mention the county. Besides, in their rendering of explanation, we have been told that actually they are getting land that is right now held by the counties. You cannot get land from the counties and say the bill does not concern counties, by definition and by law. It means, by whatever formulation, the bill must also involve the Senate, and it must also involve discussion with the county governments. Mr. Speaker, the question of land is not clear. This bill proceeds as if these units will be built in the air. There is no attempt to talk about land acquisition at all. In fact, more importantly, under the Constitution, whether it's land held on behalf of the county or on behalf of the national government, it is only the National Land Commission that is authorized to allocate that land. The bill does not even recognize the National Land Commission, and I've seen the submission by the commission itself. It was persuading the committee to have provisions on the process of land acquisition. Otherwise, you'll end up putting public money in land that is not even owned by the public. Mr. Speaker, this bill, in a very serious manner, makes several aspects that are very unclear. First, in terms of ownership. It does not make it clear whether we are talking of affordable ownership of houses or affordable rental of houses. It is totally confused. And if you look at Section 10 and 37 as read together, it's only talking about then paying a percentage of whatever, 10% actually, of whatever is deemed to be the worth of the unit. It doesn't say whether it's 10% represent the purchase price or the rental price. This bill again, Mr. Speaker, in trying to talk of administration, it becomes very confusing. In Section 11, the money is supposed to be divided three ways. Part of it is divided to the National Housing Corporation, another part to the slum upgrading program, and the third part to the State Department responsible for housing in Section 11. It then seeks to assume later in the bill that it is only the State Department and the board that is created that is administering the fund. The truth is, once you allocate land to the National Housing Corporation, to the slum upgrading fund, you have no means under the bill of then superintending it. It means that only 1/3 of the money allocated under this bill will be superintended by the board that is created. Mr. Speaker, in all fairness, the bill then does something very, very dangerous in Section 2A. And Mr. Speaker, we all know that the collector of taxes is the Kenya Revenue Authority. But this Section 2A then authorizes any other person appointed by the Cabinet Secretary for the time being responsible for National Treasury for the purposes of collection of funds under this Act. We are enabling an entity who is not even said to be a government entity to collect government taxes. We must be the only country that can do such a thing. And besides, you know that later on, 2% of the monies allocated are then allowed to be retained by this actor. Who is this person that we are giving the possibility of collecting monies that belong to Kenyans under this fund? Mr. Speaker, I wish to submit that however well-intentioned, this bill still requires a lot of proper analysis and engagement, not at the level of drafting, but at the idea level. It is still premature, it has not been well cooked, it is being rushed, it will end up being in problems. I so submit, Mr. Speaker. Thank you very much.
I'll give Kimani, then we can call the mover to reply.
Thank you, Mr.
You are giving the microphone to a member I have not called out.
Thank you.
Yes, Kimani.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We appreciate the debate that you've held this afternoon and the views held by, among others, the Honorable Atendi Amolo. And tomorrow, during the Committee of the Whole House, the Joint Committees of Finance and National Planning and that of Housing, Public Works and Urban Development will be putting across several amendments so that we align the fears that members of this Honorable House has raised. But a few of those things that I would like to reply to is one, the issue or the question of the ownership of land and the transfer of these houses or where these houses are built on public land and how they are transferred from public land to private land. One of the amendments we'll be moving tomorrow is an amendment to the Lands Act, is a provision that all the transfer of land from public to private will have to follow the Land Act, Honorable Speaker. The issue about penalties in terms of the times when these levies are levied to the relevant authority, we will also be promoting an amendment so that they are in line with the Tax Procedures Act, so that the fines and the penalties that shall accrue as a result of late disbursement of these funds will follow the rest of the taxes as proposed by the as enshrined in the Tax Procedures Act. Honorable Speaker, one of the key amendments that we've done is we've created the fund. And now this fund, instead of trying to reinvent the wheel and them trying to implement these affordable housing programs, the bill proposes to use existing structures of governance, including county governments, including the National Housing Corporation, including the State Department in charge of housing, and other private entities that could be involved in the issue of affordable housing. So the monies are collected as a levy by KRA, they're taken into the fund, and then it is a fund that disburses these monies to the respective agencies. The agencies will implement the housing programs. And once the houses are complete, they are going to be transferred to the fund. And now it is now the fund that is going to distribute these houses to Kenyans, Honorable Speaker. The issue about whether to buy or rent has also been addressed in the amendment that will be moving tomorrow, that now provides that this affordable housing will be available for whether you want to buy or rent, Honorable Speaker. The issue of the 10% deposit, again proposed as a bill, is one of the things that we propose to delete tomorrow during the Committee of the Whole House, because we listened to Kenyans and they said that 10% proposed deposit is too punitive and might not be affordable to the majority of hustlers that want to get involved in this program, Honorable Speaker. Lastly, there was a fear that these houses will be taken by the rich at the expense of the people that should benefit from this affordable housing. And therefore, we'll also be proposing to have one ID, one KRA PIN, one house, so that we do not have people taking advantage of this particular program and going to invest in them at the expense of the hustlers that are benefiting from this program, Honorable Speaker. We have also clearly defined what an affordable house, and most importantly, Honorable Speaker, one of the things that came out of the public hearings is a need for institutional housing. We have a majority of the civil servants who are majority of the contributors to this kitty, like the police, like the teachers, like KDF, like lecturers, like even student accommodation, that now we are proposing to include an additional amendment to have affordable housing, including institutional housing, so that our students, for example, Honorable Speaker, the Technical University of Nairobi has a population of almost 20,000 students, but the number of hostels they have as an institution is less than 500. And this means that we have had mushrooming of slums around universities. If you go to Kenyatta University, the students there live in KM. If you go to University of Nairobi, there is a slum around all our institutions of higher learning. And therefore, the bill will propose to have a particular provision and a particular percentage going to institutional housing, especially targeting our civil servants, our teachers, our police officers, and most importantly, our students, so that the students can live near where they go to school and they can have a conducive place to learn and to acquire knowledge without having to go through slums, to be marked at night when going home, and the risk of them being, their hostels being, their rental houses being locked, and them even staying out of school, Honorable Speaker. With those many remarks, Honorable Speaker, I beg to support this bill, and again, tomorrow during the Committee of the Whole, the joint committees will be proposing an array of amendments to safeguard some of the things that our members, especially from the minority side, has raised. I beg to move, Honorable Speaker.
Order, honorable members. Order. Order, honorable members. I now put the question pursuant to the point of order raised by Honorable Chepkonga that the mover be now called upon to reply. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, allow me in reply to first thank all the members who have contributed. Honorable Speaker, last Thursday when this debate began, just to dissuade that fear by the Honorable Tiende Amolo that this bill is being rushed, we were here up to 7 p.m. and very many members contributed. And I sat here pensively listening to all the contributions by the members. Honorable Speaker, I remember the Honorable Engineer Mwengi, who was asking, how will a person earning 20,000 shillings afford to save to buy a house of 2.5 million shillings? Honorable Speaker, the straight answer is in the bill. I'm certain the Honorable Engineer may not have read the bill. And at clause 2 of the bill on social housing, the bill is quite explicit that the social housing units will be houses for people, targeting people whose monthly income is below 20,000 shillings. The same questions I had the leader of minority asking, how will Mama Mboga, how will a Boda rider afford to buy a house? It is these people who are being targeted with the social housing. The Honorable Tiende Omolo, who has just contributed this afternoon, is asking the same pertinent questions. Is this bill about affordable housing, ownership of housing, or is it about affordable rentals? And the straight answer again, it is about affordable ownership of houses. New home owners, millions of new home owners will be created out of this bill, Honorable Speaker, and not just rentals. And I know, Honorable Speaker, those who have been opposing this bill, a number of them are those who have vested interests in rental units in this country who fear that affordable ownership of houses by Kenyans might in a way jeopardize their rental units. But I want to assure even landlords like myself, and Honorable Speaker, I am a landlord myself, just like many of us here, including the Honorable Junet. We are not threatened in any way by this bill. The housing gap in this country is so huge, Honorable Speaker, that we do not need to fear that anybody will be threatened.
Okello, what is out of order?
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Majority Leader understands that all of us here in this House know how to read. And Honorable Speaker, firstly, it says the Affordable Housing Bill 2023. And if we go to
what is out of order?
The heading. Honorable Speaker, I want this clear. If we go to the heading, it talks about a framework for access to affordable housing. There is no indication of ownership here, Honorable Speaker. And that is the confusion that we are going through. Are we talking about affordable rentals, which could as well be part of this, or affordable ownership of a house? Honorable Speaker, ownership is not here.
Order, Honorable
unless we are going to make more amendments.
Order, Honorable Kello, you are debating. You are not raising a point of order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. You know, Honorable Speaker, reading English and interpretation of what is written in English are two different things. Honorable Speaker, moving on, the Honorable Auditor, in his submission, again was asking how will Changa brewers, or rather he asked that many of his, many constituents who are Changa brewers, and posed the question that what mechanism will be there to collect this money, and I think it's the same question that the Honorable Opio and I was asking, what mechanism will be there to collect this money as directed by the court. And Honorable Speaker, it is indeed true, as the Honorable Tiende Omolo has submitted, that it is the courts that said we are not levying this tax to a certain section of Kenyans. And therefore, in curing that problem that the court pointed out, then a provision was created for us to use the Tax Procedures Act, as has been clearly stipulated by the chair of the Finance Committee, to collect from every Kenyan who is earning an income. And Honorable Speaker, whether you are a farmer, whether you are a Changa brewer, and maybe to Honorable Boda, it is brewers, not Changa brewers, because Changa brewing is an illegitimate trade that I don't know whether there is a way of collecting taxes from a legitimate trade. But for any person who is involved in legitimate earning of an income, they shall be obligated to pay this under the Tax Procedures Act. And Honorable Speaker, there are fears that, like the Honorable John Badis has said, that KRA will harass people. KRA is a tax collector, not an agent for harassing Kenyans. And they will collect the taxes that are due from Kenyans in the manner provided for in law. Finally, Honorable Speaker, and I think it's also an issue that you addressed when I think Honorable Junet or somebody else objected to the beginning of the debate on the question that appears on the memorandum of objects and reasons for this bill. Honorable Speaker, you put it so well that the memorandum is a storyline. Is a storyline describing what the proposer of the bill thinks of his bill. And at the point we formulated this bill as a proposer, it was my thinking that it will not affect county governments because it was a money bill that was designed to collect taxes, Honorable Speaker. But I have since been informed and guided even by the Speaker when the two speakers consulted and agreed that this bill does concern counties. Honorable Speaker, I am certain if and when this House dispenses with this bill, it will certainly be on its way to the Senate, and I have been in consultations with the leader of majority in the Senate. They are indeed waiting for this bill in the Senate.
Order majority. Yes, Honorable Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, the majority leader raises a very interesting issue, which we need to investigate as a House on how bills are done and are published. Mr. Speaker, if a bill is styled to be a bill not concerning counties, and thereafter the proposer discovers that indeed it concerns counties, should this bill be printed afresh and published? Should it be debated in the manner in which it appears to be? This raises a legitimate... Mr. Speaker,
Order, I'll cut you there. The matter you are raising was actually raised here by your leader, the minority leader, and he prosecuted it very effectively, and the chair ruled on it. One, that the Speaker of the House and the Speaker of the Senate are satisfied and concur that this is a bill concerning counties. Two, that whatever is in the memorandum is something that will not find itself in the body of the law when you pass it. Three, that at committee stage you can amend anything including the memorandum to expunge any offending words that tend to indicate either impliedly or expressly that the bill does not concern counties, because it does. And it was all agreed by both sides that this bill concerns counties, and from here it will go to the Senate. So if you had been here when Wandai was contributing, you wouldn't have raised that point of order.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I was hoping, Honorable Speaker, you would tell the Honorable TJ, give him the same response you gave to the Honorable Nikal, that he's also suffering from being absent from the House. Yes. Because that is a matter that was indeed canvassed, and you made a very reasoned ruling on the matter. And indeed, as I was indicating in conclusion, Honorable Speaker, this memorandum, as the Speaker directed, if anybody desires to amend the memorandum or my storyline of what the bill is about, you are at liberty to amend it when this bill comes for third reading. With those very many remarks, Honorable Speaker, allow me, Honorable Speaker, maybe, Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, Article 38, Clause 38, Honorable Speaker, and the Honorable Engineer Mwengi also spoke to the issue of the contributions, voluntary savings. And to an extent, he confused the voluntary savings to voluntary contributions into the fund. And the voluntary savings referred to under clause 38 refer to savings towards contributing a deposit. And is a deposit that the Honorable Chair of the Finance Committee has very ably stated that the provision that was there for a 10% deposit, and I remember when the units in Nakuru County were in Bondeni, Nakuru, were advertised, Kenyans raised that particular question as to whether how many Kenyans will be able to afford 100,000 shillings, and that is what the chairman of the Finance Committee has indicated that they have proposed in their committee report during third reading to remove the provision for a 10% deposit, so that Kenyans, even what we do, Honorable Speaker, when you are getting into a rental house, you are required to raise a deposit of 2 months deposit and one month rent, or 1 month's deposit and 2 months rent, and you pay an equivalent of your 3 months deposit as your deposit. Is probably something now with the removal of the 10% deposit that could be considered by the people who will be selling these houses under the fund. Honorable Speaker, with those very many remarks, let me conclude by saying that this bill is not just about a levy. This bill is not just about houses. As I submitted when moving, this bill is about provision of jobs for millions of our youth who are languishing back in our constituencies without jobs. And plead with all of you to vote for this bill. And voting for this bill, honorable members, you'll be voting for jobs. I will wait to see, Honorable Speaker, how many of us here will vote against jobs for Kenyans, jobs for Kenyans, jobs for your constituencies. This bill is nothing other than about jobs, 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 jobs for your constituencies. Vote for jobs. Vote for employment. Vote for homeowners. Vote for wealth creation. Vote for a new Kenya. I submit and I reply, Honorable Speaker.
Order. Order. Honorable members on both sides of the House, you are total out of order for turning the floor of the House into a rally situation. Honorable members, I'll now put the question, which is that the Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, be now read a second time. As many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? Nay. The ayes have it. Take your seats. Take your seats, honorable members. Order. You have order, honorable members. Take your seats. You have the requisite number. Order. Order, honorable members. You have claimed a division. You have the requisite number. Before we ring the bell, allow me to acknowledge in the Speaker's gallery order the presence of Solian Girls High School from Eldama Ravine in Baringo. We can now ring the division bell for 5 minutes. We are on division, we can't. Order, honorable members. The division bell will be rung for 5 minutes.
The division bell is currently on at the National Assembly. This division bell has been ordered by the Speaker of the National Assembly, Honorable Moses Wetangula, for the House to take account of members in support of the Affordable Housing Bill 2023, currently at the second stage. On your screens, you can see the whip of the majority side, whipping members in the chamber. In the next about 3 minutes, we are set to see members of the National Assembly from various sides, that is those opposing and those in support of the bill, currently at the second stage, take the numbers owing to that vote that was just taken just a while ago by
Order, honorable members, take your seats. Take your seats. Those members on their feet, take your seats. Take your seats. Order, honorable members. Those on your feet, freeze. Those near their seats, get seated. Honorable members, the division bell is over. I will now invite the whips to submit the names of their tellers. Order. Order. We do. Njoroge. Close the bar. Honorable members, order. Order, honorable members. Take your seats. Take your seats. Honorable members, I want you to observe decorum and decent conduct in the House. Your standing orders stipulate very clearly when voting is going on, you observe silence in the chamber, no movement from one place to another. I would have loved us to have electronic voting, but I'm told some of you don't have your cards. I want to advise members that going to the future, it saves a lot of our time if we do electronic voting. And for my time in 10 years in the Senate, all our voting was electronic and it was seamless. And when you vote even electronically, it appears on the screen and everybody can tell who is voting in whatever manner. So going to the future, clerk, make sure that the electronic gadgets are working. This vote would have taken 5 minutes. Now we are probably going to take 1 hour. If And I want to direct that if the chair notices you walking up and down during voting, your vote will be nullified. Maintain silence, remain in your places of seat, so that we have an orderly house. You know very well before this we have had votes that have degenerated into something I don't want to describe. If I see you walking around, it matters not who you are, even if you are in leadership, I'll nullify your vote. So let's start through a roll call vote. Remain where you are. When you are called out, vote. And for avoidance of doubt, I'll now put the question that Affordable Housing Bill, National Assembly Bill number 75 of 2023, be now read a second time. You are voting either yes or no. Let's start.
Ainab Koi, Chepkonga Kiprono Samuel.
Mr. Speaker, I vote yes.
Aina Moi, Langat Benjamin Kipkurui. Mohammed.
I vote yes.
Aldai, Kitani Marian Jebet.
Honorable Kaluma, take your seat.
Alego Usonga, Atandi Samuel Onunga. Give him the mic.
I vote no.
Awendo, Owino John Walter. Bahati, Mrembo Irene Joki. Balambala, Shurie Abdi Omar. Balambala, Shurie Abdi Omar. Baringo, County Woman Rep, Sergon Florence Jamatia. Barigo Centro, Kandie Joshua Chepiegon. Baringo North, Kipkoros Joseph Magilap. Baringo South, Kamuren Charles. Baringo South, Kamuren Charles. Belgut, Koech Nelson. Bobasi, Momanyi Innocent Obiri. Bobasi, Momanyi Innocent Obiri. Bamachoge Borabu, Barongo Nolfalson. Bamachoge Chache, Alpha Miruka Undieki. Bomet Woman Rep, Lynette Jebkorir. Bomet Centro, Kilel Richard Cheruyot. Bomet Centro, Kilel Richard Cheruyot. Bomet East, Yegon Richard Kipkemoy. Bonchari, Onchoke Charles. Bondo, Ogola Gideon Ochanda. Borabu, Osero Patrick Kibagendi. Budalangi, Wanjala Rafael Sauti Beta.
Honorable Pareyo. Order. Honorable Agnes Pareyo. Can you take your seat or I'll nullify your vote? I see you walking up and down again and your vote will be nullified.
Bumula, Wamboka Nelson Jack.
No.
Bungoma Woman Rep, Wabilianga Catherine Nanjala. Bura Yakub Ado Kuno. Bureti Komingoi Kibet Kirui. Busia Woman Rep Omanyo Catherine Nakambi. Butere Mwale Nicholas Tindi. Butula Oyula Joseph Maero. Butula Oyula Joseph Maero. Butula Oyula Joseph Maero.
No.
Mburi Rindikiri Moruidhania. Imenti Centro Kirima Joseph Guchine. Changamwe Shimbwa Omar Mwinyi. Changamwe Shimbwa Omar Mwinyi. Chebalungu Koech Victor Kipngetich. Chebalungu Koech Victor Kipngetich. Cherangani Barasa Patrick Simiu. Barasa Patrick Simiu. Chesume Biego Paul Kibichi. Chuka Iganga Ngombe Ntwiga Patrick Munene. Chuka Iganga Ngombe Ntwiga Patrick Munene. Dadab Farah Maalim. Farah Maalim. Dagoretti North Elachi Beatrice. Dagoretti South John Kiarie. Dagoretti South John Kiarie. Eldama Ravin Musa Sirma.
I vote yes.
Eldas Welie Keinan. Elgeo Marakwet Woman Rep Jepto Ngelechei. Embakasi Centro Gadiro Mejadong. Embakasi East Babu Owino Paul. Embakasi East Babu Owino Paul. Embakasi North Gakuya James Mwangi. Embakasi North Gakuya James Mwangi. Embakasi South Mawade Julius Musili.
I vote no on the
Embakasi West
overtaxation.
Mweje Mark Samuel Mureithi. Embu Woman Rep Double N Pamela Njoki. Mgwen Lenmengit Joses. Emuhaya Omboko Milemba. Emuhaya Omboko Milemba. Emurwa Dikir Johanna Ngeno. Endembes Pukose Robert.
I vote yes.
Fafi Yakub Farah. Fafi Yakub Farah. Funyula Oundo Wilberforce. Galole Said Buya Hiribae. Galore Said Buya Hiribae. Ganze Tungule Charo Kenneth Kazungu. Garissa Woman Rep Siad Udgon. Siad Amina Udgon. Garissa Township Deko Mohamed Baro. Garsen Guyo Ali Wario. Garsen Guyo Ali Wario. Gatanga Mureu Wakili Edward. Gatundu North Njoroge Kururia. Gatundu North Njoroge Kururia. Gatundu South Kagombe Gabriel. Game Elisha Odhiambo. Game Elisha Odhiambo. Gichugu Githinji Robert Gichimu. Gichugu Githinji Robert Gichimu. Gilgil Martha Wangari, Githunguri wa Muchomba Gathoni, Githunguri wa Muchomba Gathoni, Hamisi Gimose Charles, Hamisi Gimose Charles, Homabay Woman Rep Bensuda Osogo, Bensuda Osogo, Homabay Town Kaluma Peter George Opondo, Igembe Central Daniel Kili Karido, Igembe Central Daniel Kili Karido, Igembe North Mnaiba Taitumu Julius, Igembe South Mwirigi John Paul, Igembe South Mwirigi John Paul, Ijara Abdi Ali, Ikolomani Shinali Bernard Masaka, Isiolo Woman Rep Bonaya Mumina, Isiolo Woman Rep Bonaya Mumina, Isiolo South, so Isiolo North Lomwa Joseph, Isiolo North Lomwa Joseph, Isiolo South Tubi Mohammed, Tubi Mohammed, Jomvu Badibadi Twalib, Jomvu Badibadi Twalib, Juja George Koimburi, Juja George Koimburi, Kabete wa Mashukuru James Gedua, Kabete wa Mashukuru James Gedua, Kabondo Kasipul Eve Akinyi Obara, Kabushai Kalasinga Joseph Simiu, Kabushai Kalasinga Joseph Simiu, Kacheliba Titus Lote, Kacheliba Titus Lote, Kaiti Kimilu Joseph, Kaiti Kimilu Joseph, Kajiado Woman Representative Sankaire Lea Sopiato, Kajiado Central Kanchore Memusi, Kajiado Central Kanchore Memusi, Kajiado East Hamisi Kakuta Maimai, Kajiado North Ngogoyo Onesimus, Kajiado North Ngogoyo Onesimus, Kajiado South Sakimba Parashina, Sakimba Parashina, Kajiado West Sunkuya George, Kajiado West Sunkuya George, Kakamega Woman Representative Mohanda LC Bushilie, Kaloleni Katana Paul Kahindi, Kaloleni Katana Paul Kahindi.
I vote no.
Kamu Konji Hassan Abdi Yusuf, Kandara Njuguna Chege, Kandara Njuguna Chege, Kandui Makali John, Kandui Makali John, Kangema Peter Irungu Kihongi, Kagundo Chule Fabian Muli.
Yes. I said yes.
Yes, she's there.
Kapenguria Samuel Moroto Chumel, Kapenguria Samuel Moroto Chumel, Kapsaret Sudi Oscar Kipchumba, Kapsaret Sudi Oscar Kipchumba, Karachuonyo Adipo Andrew,
Give him the mic.
Karachuonyo,
I vote no.
Kasarani, Karauri, Ronald Kamuiko. Kasarani, Karauri, Ronald. Kasipul, Charles Were. Kadiani, Robert Mbui. Keio North, Kipsanai Adams Korir. Keio South, Gideon Kemayo. Keio South, Gideon Kemayo. Kericho County, Beatrice Kemei. Kericho County, Beatrice Kemei. Keses, Julius Ruto. Huisero, Aseka Wangaya Christopher. Huisero, Aseka Wangaya Christopher. Kiamba, Wanjiko John Jogona. Kiambu, Waidhaka John Machua. Kiambu, Waidhaka John Machua. Kiambu County, Ann Wanjiko Mugo Moradha. Kibra, Peter Ochieng Orero. Kibwezi East, Mbalu Jessica. Kibwezi East, Mbalu Jessica. Kibwezi West, Mutuse Mwengi Ekomas. Kieni, Anthony Wainaina Njoroge. Kieni, Anthony Wainaina Njoroge. Kigumo, Joseph Munyoro. Kiharu, Dindi Nyoro. Kiharu, Dindi Nyoro. Kikuyu, Kimani Ichungwa. Kilgoris, Sunkuli Julius. Kilgoris, Sunkuli Julius. Kilifi County, Mbeyu Gertrude Mwanyanje. Kilifi County,
Mbeyu, I vote no.
Kilifi North, Baya Ya Owen.
I vote yes.
Kilifi South, Richard Ken Chonga. Ken Chonga, Kilifi South.
Absent. Even Dindi is voting online.
Kilome, Kidhua Nzambia. Kilome, Kidhua Nzambia.
Absent.
Kimilili, Didmas Mutua Baraza. Kimilili, Didmas Mutua Baraza. Kiminini, Kiminini, Morris Kakai Bisau.
Yes.
Kinango, Kinango, Samuel Gonzirai.
Yes.
Kinangop, Kwenya Dhuku. Kinangop, Kwenya Dhuku.
Yes.
Kipipiri, Muhea Wanjiku. Kipipiri, Muhea Wanjiku. Kipkelion East, Cherorot, Joseph Kimutai.
Yes.
Kipkelion West, Hilary Kiplangat Kosgei. Kirinyaga County, Maina Njeri Jen.
Yes.
Kirinyaga Central, Gitari Joseph Gachoki. Kirinyaga Central, Gitari Joseph Gachoki. Kisauni, Benziba Rashid Juma. Kisauni, Benziba Rashid Juma. Kisii County, Donya Aburi Doris. Kisii County, Donya Aburi Doris. Kisumu County, Busia Ruth Odinga. Kisumu County, Busia Ruth Odinga. Kisumu Central, Joshua Oron. Kisumu East, Ahmed Shakil Shabir. Kisumu East, Ahmed Shakil Shabir. Kisumu West, Rosa Mbuyu. Kitui County, Kasalu Irene Mudhoni. Kitui Central, Makali Benson Mulu. Kitui Central, Makali Benson Mulu. Kitui East, Mbai Nimrod. Kitui Rural, Mboni Mwalika. Kitui Rural, Mboni Mwalika. Kitui South, Recho Kaki Nyamae. Kitui South, Recho Kaki Nyamae. Kitui West, Nyenze Edith. Kitutu Chache North, Nyakundi Japheth. Kitutu Chache South, Kibagendi Anthony. Kitutu Masaba, Gisairo Clive. Kitutu Masaba, Gisairo Clive. Konoin, Yegon Brighton. Konoin, Yegon Brighton. Kuresoi North, Kiprono Mutai. Kiprono Mutai. Kuresoi South, Joseph Tonui. Kuria East, Kitayama Marwa Maisori. Kuria West, Robbie Mathias. Kuria West, Robbie Mathias. Kwale County, Masito Fatuma Hamisi. Kwanza, Wanyonyi Ferdinand. Lafe, Abdurrahman Mohammed Abdi. Abdurrahman Mohammed Abdi. Lakdera, Mohammed Abdikadir Hussein. Lakdera, Mohammed Abdikadir Hussein. Laikipia County, Jane Kagiri. Laikipia East, Kionjuri Festus Mwangi. Laikipia North, Korere Sara. Laikipia North, Korere Sara Paulata. Laikipia West, Karani Stephen Washira. Leisamis, Lekuton Joseph. Leisamis, Lekuton Joseph. Lamu County, Marubu Monica Mudhoni. Lamu County, Marubu Monica Mudhoni. Lamu East, Rueda Obo. Lamu West, Muiruri Stanley. Langata, Felix Adiwor Kode. Langata, Felix Adiwor Kode. Larry Kahangara Joseph. Larry.
Yes.
Likoni Mishi Mboko. Likuyani Mugabe Innocent. Limuru John Kiragu Chege. John Kiragu Chege. Loima Akuja Protas.
Yes.
Luanda Oyugi Dick Maungu. Luanda Oyugi Dick Maungu. Lugari Nabi Naboera Daraja. Nabi Naboera Daraja. Lunga Lunga Chiforo Mondo. Chiforo Mondo Mangale. Lurambi Mukhwana Taitas Khamala. Lurambi Mukhwana Taitas Khamala. Maara Kareke Mbiuki. Maara Kareke Mbiuki. Machakos County, Kamene Joyce. Machakos County, Kamene Joyce. Machakos Town, Caleb Mule. Magarini, Kombe Harrison. Magarini, Kombe Harrison. Makandara, George Aladwa. Makadara, George Aladwa. Makueni, Suzanne Dunge Kiamba.
Makueni constituency vote no.
Makueni County, Mumo Rose. Makueni County, Mumo Rose Museo. Malava, Ichendi Malulu. Malindi, Amina Mnyanzi. Malindi, Amina Mnyanzi. Mandera North, Basil Sheikh Abdullahi. Basil Sheikh Abdullahi. Mandera County, Umulkhair Sheikh Hasim. Mandera County, Umulkhair Sheikh Hasim. Mandera East, Abdurrahman Hussein Waitan Mohammed. Abdurrahman Hussein Waitan Mohammed.
Yes.
Mandera South, Haro Ibrahim. Mandera South, Haro Ibrahim.
No, you are saying yes. No, wait.
Mandera East.
Order.
Mandera.
Order, honorable members. The member has voted already.
Yes.
Carry on.
He voted yes. He's not sure. No, he's not sure. You can't vote twice.
Order, honorable. Order, tell us. Order.
I vote no.
Yes. No, you won. Yes. He voted yes.
Go on.
Mandera South. Mandera South, Haro Ibrahim. Mandera South, Haro Ibrahim. Mandera West, Yusuf Adan Haji. Mandera South, Haro Ibrahim.
Yes.
Mandera West, Yusuf Adan Haji. Manyata Mukunji John Gitonga.
Yes. Why are you whispering? No, I'm a yes.
Maragua Mary wa Maua.
Mukunji amesema yes.
Marakwet East, Bowen Kangogo.
Yes.
Marakwet West, Toroitich Kipchumba Timothy.
Yes, also.
Marsabit County, Wako Naomi Jilo. Masinga, Mwalio Joseph Mbidhi. Masinga, Mwalio Joseph Mbidhi. Matayos Odanga Geoffrey Makoha.
I vote no.
Madare Anthony Oluoch. Madare Anthony Oluoch. Madhioya Gichuki Edwin Mugo.
Yes. Mathioya, yes.
Madira Eric Mwangi Kahugu. Matuga Kasim Sawatandaza.
Yes.
Matungu Peter Oscar Nabulindo. Matungulu Stephen Mutinda Mule. Mavoko Patrick Kingola. Mbere North Ruku Geoffrey Kariuki.
Where?
Mbere North Ruku Geoffrey Kariuki.
Yes.
Mbere South Bernard Muriuki.